Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Forman, and this is Roberts Surfboards Shaper, Surfing Magazine Shaper of the Year, Robert Weiner. And we have here with us the Twonzer fin setup that Robert has pioneered and brought to his 2018 production line of surfboards. Robert, checking these things out, it looks, I don't know, I would say the first impression is it looks like a reverse quad, right? So rather than having the big fins in the front, small fins in the back, it's got the big ones in the back, small ones in the front. Tell us a little bit about this setup, like kind of how you came up with the idea and a little bit of the R&D that went into it.
Yeah, basically it's more of like what I would call a twin fin with a controller in the front, as opposed to like a quad. You'd think of it more of like the drive and speed of a twin fin, but the holding power of a quad, or this controller front fin, which I call a Twonzer setup, because it has a little bit of a bonzer angle to it, which actually hangs over the rail a little bit more than a normal fin. And then the combination here, the placement is different as well. So there's a lot of things going on here that make it much different than any quad setup.
Okay.
This back fin is bigger than any tri-fin that you'd find in any tri-fin setup.
So what's the depth on these back fins?
On the back fin large, this is like a just shy of 5.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, I had researched twin fins that were in that sizing, and nobody was making a twin fin in that size. So I was basically designing fins by shaping them down.
Okay.
The original Futures T1, I was shaping it down and shaping it down, and then I was using another set of fins from FCS, and I was shaping those down until I got the perfect combo. But the reason why I came up with this idea is the first Brofish that I made for Kellen Ellison, I wanted to do it as a twin fin, naturally, but I wanted to give him a little bit more hold and a little more ability to be able to ride in the tube and on some heavier waves, and also hold more rail speed and have more control going through a turn. Twin fins can drift a little bit at times. So I wanted to kind of give it some kind of a feel, and originally the very first one we put just a little bonzer, the FCS bonzer fin in the front and the Futures twin fin in the back, and that worked really well, and he rode that for quite a while. But I started experimenting with a little bit bigger side fins and then started whittling those down, and then I just got the perfect combo to where they work really well together.
And so how would you compare the performance of this setup of the Twonzer compared to, let's say, like a standard quad that you would have been riding last year?
So I find that there's a lot more speed that is associated with this fin, especially down the line, like what you would be looking for in a normal like a fish type of a shape, where you want to get that down the line speed that a twin fin will give you. But I don't like the feeling on a twin fin when I really get it out on rail and I'm pushing as hard as I can and it slides out.
Okay.
So by putting these in here, it gives it that extra bite, and then coupling them together. So the whole idea, there's the McKee placement that we usually use on our quads is a little closer to the stringer than a normal quad setup that's usually out on the rail. I use that, but I move those forward. And also, there's Neil Purchase Jr. is doing a lot of twin fins with the twins real tall, and they're closer to the stringer.
Yep.
And I was thinking, oh yeah, this is kind of a little bit along those lines, but the bonzer fin in the front. So twin, Twinzer, bonzer, all these things,
Right.
So we came up with the name Twonzer.
With the Twonzer.
So all this combination with the fins closer together, the radius of the turn is tighter. So you end up having this feeling where you're fully engaged and you're getting all this drive, but the pivot of these fins closer to closer is tighter and can come around real sharp. So you have this really unique feeling, and I think it works really well with this board. The beauty of it is I just went to Indo and I set all my boards up, even my step-ups, my high performance boards, my narrow tail boards with this setup, and it worked really well. It was holding, it was driving, it was working really good. So
big fins in the back, right? Because that's like your like your trick, like your reminder, right? Big fins in the back.
Yep.
'Cause people are going to pull the fins out and be like, oh, it's a quad. I'm going to put the big fins in the front.
Typically, that's
Twonzer big fins in the back, right?
Yep.
So when you're looking at this thing, like from a front-footed, back-footed, speed-generating thing, like in your head, what's going on, like having the big fins in the back? Because everybody else is thinking big fins in the front, but you're thinking big fins in the back. Is there an advantage that's in your head with that one?
Just the thrust that you're getting off the bigger fin in the back, because a lot of the time when you're riding a quad, you want to skate the board. With the bigger fins forward, you're pivoting more off the biggest fin. So the fins forward, you're actually driving with your front foot more. You're leaning forward. So by having the bigger fins in the back, you can actually surf off the tail and really push hard off the tail and get more of like a regular feeling that you would think of riding like a tri-fin. So it's really, I just love it. You know, I've just been riding it a bunch, and yeah, the bigger fin in the back, little fin in front. And if you ever did want to try this board as a twin fin, you have the option, because this, you could ride it a big sized set of twin fins in the back or in the front. You can try it either way, because both of these tangs are 3/4 deep.
Okay. All
So
right.
that's something else that's a little bit unique with our setup, because these fins put so much pressure on the fin box. I wanted to use the 3/4 inch deep box, so they don't roll over with all that.
Because the other box is what? A half?
The other box a half, and it usually sits in a stringer, or it's a quad fin, and the fin's real small.
Well, a lot smaller, right?
But these are much bigger fins, and there's a lot more G-forces being put on this box. So I wanted to make sure there were
G-force. That just happened. Wait till you see this guy turn. It is G-force.
So yeah. So this is our new invention, / fin setup that we're doing with Futures. They made the fins for us, and they're available through us and Reel. Here we have sets available with the boards, and I strongly recommend it. Can
we talk about the front fins, the leader fin or the Twonzer fin? Like you were talking about it having a like a Bonzer angle to it.
So it's not as extreme as a Bonzer.
Okay.
It's about 12.
And when you're talking
degrees.
angle, you're talking leaning out.
I'm talking about
leaning out.
Yep,
okay.
Yep. And it has about 12 degrees. These fins have about 6.5, which is actually unique to most twin fins. You're usually more straight up and down. It's another thing that we're doing that makes the board really want to go on rail and turn. So yeah, and then these fins here are about 3.75, I believe, in height, and about the same in the base, or 3.5 in the base, 3.75 in height. And then these are about 4, like 4 5/16 high, with about, I think it's about almost a 5-inch base. So it's
a lot of
it's
fin.
actually longer than the base of the box. It barely, gets the screw pass. It's designed that way. But these are all fiberglass, so they flex really nice. They're real strong, and I tested them in warm water as well, in Indo. And
there you go. No wetsuit.
Yeah.
In blue water. They work in black water, brown
we
water,
also
and blue
have
water.
them in smoke color, and then this nice turquoise blue.
So what is that extra cant doing for you when you're surfing?
It basically allows the board, I feel it allows the board to go on rail quicker, because the fin's leaning over that way, and when you lean the board over, it has no resistance. But it also, if you look at it, it's almost hanging off the rail as it is, and this is set a little further off the rail than a normal tri-fin placement. By it leaning so far over, when you lean over into a turn, it'll hold in better, So yeah, it makes it loose, and it still has a lot of hold, and all that fin in there, that's quite a bit of fin. It gives you tons of drive.
But is it stiff?
Stiff?
Because people whenever you hear tons of drive, people automatically, they're like, okay, cool, I can go super fast, but then I can't turn.
Yeah, and that's a good question, because by coupling these fins closer together, the pivot is tighter. If you have the fins spread out a little more, as you know, with big wave guns, the board's going to drive more speed down the line. But if you have the cluster tighter together, the pivot area is going to be tighter.
Okay.
So that allows the board to carve. Now you have to push through your turn in order to get it, going through the turn, but it'll hold you in and it'll drive through the turn. It's not stiffer, it's just more of a carve.
Okay.
They do release. That's one of the reasons why I was decreasing the back fin, is because I still wanted it to have the release. That's another thing I didn't really like about the feel of a twin fin for the most part, is because the two fins have to be so big that
and
when
so
you
long in the cord.
Yeah, exactly. And when you go through a turn and you really want to like end the turn and maybe drift a little bit if you want to, you can't, because the fin is so engaged, it's so deep into the face of the wave that it won't really release. And these will release if you want them to, you know. So it's a really unique feel. And
here's another question on Twonzers. Can I buy a Twonzer setup? Can I buy like a Futures Roberts Twonzer setup and put it in my current quad board?
No, you can't do that.
Why?
The reason why is because the back tang on this fin, the depth of the fin is 3/4 inches deep.
Okay.
So you would need to actually, you'd need to either get a fin box placed into your board that's 3/4 deep and in a different placement as well. I don't really suggest using this fin in a normal quad placement, because then this fin's going to be too big.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Because
it'd be too spread out.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And then it will feel stiff.
Okay.
But the other thing is the depth of this fin tang is too deep to set in a normal, because usually quad rears are a 1/2 inch deep. So if you try to do that, I mean, technically, if you were a machinist and you machined the base of the fin down so it would fit into a 1/2 inch box, technically you could, but I don't think it would even ride that well, because the fin wouldn't be in the right place.
Right. And then it would also put so much pressure on the box that you could fold
You could roll it over.
fold the box because it's not deep enough.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool, Robert. Thanks for running us through the Twonzer setup.
And you can order this setup in any one of the models that we do.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like I said, I've been riding mine in my turbo diesel, which has a lot of rocker in the tail, and the board was working incredibly well on steep-faced, good hollow waves. It works really well in the barrel. As you can see on some of the videos on my website, you'll see Kellen Ellison riding the original Twonzer setup in some really deep tubes on this Brofish.
On that same board.
Yep.
So stock, the Brofish and the Star Chip come Twonzer.
Yep, come
and
stock.
then the other new models like the Dreammaker and any of the other boards that you make are available as a Twonzer.
Any of the models that we make,
Custom.
you can order custom.
Okay.
With the Twonzer setup.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Robert, thank you for running us through the Twonzer. We're stoked on it.
You're welcome, bro. Yeah,
And,
I'm stoked to be here and explain the fin and let you guys know a little bit more about it. It's a lot of fun. You got to check it out.
If you're ever coming to Cape Hatteras, make sure you come to Cape Hatteras when Robert's here, because he always brings waves. Any more questions on the Twonzer fin setup or any of the Roberts surfboards, give us a call at the shop, 252-987-6000, or look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Thanks for tuning in.